In this video, we'll be looking at the most insane Dragon Ball theories. Let's get started. Android 17 and 18 were never the weapons. They were always Cell's meal prep. Dr. Gero spent decades building the ultimate revenge against Goku, and somehow his masterpiece was two teenagers who immediately killed him, and then spent their time joyriding and raiding clothing stores. That's the official story anyway. Episode 152, Say Goodbye 17, shows us something way darker. The moment Cell absorbs Android 17 like he's chugging a protein shake, and the whole thing works suspiciously well. Maybe those androids weren't weapons at all. Maybe they were just really expensive Lunchables for a bio-android who wouldn't exist for another few years. Dr. Gero's track record with android creation reads like a tutorial on how to fail upward. Android 19, literal garbage that Vegeta demolished in minutes. Android 20, that's just Gero himself, and he got his head ripped off by his own creations. Then suddenly, Gero creates 17 and 18, two androids so powerful they're bored by everyone except each other, equipped with infinite energy, zero weaknesses, and attitudes that make Vegeta look humble. The guy who couldn't program basic loyalty into his killer robot somehow engineered two perpetual motion machines in human form. That's like failing your driver's test 15 times and then suddenly building a rocket ship that actually works. Here's where it gets weird. Gero's computer kept working on Cell after Gero died. The androids killed their creator, but Cell's development continued automatically, like some kind of biological Spotify subscription Gero forgot to cancel. Cell emerges from the basement with one job: absorb Android 17 and Android 18. He knows exactly how to do it. He has a built-in GPS for finding them. His entire body transforms to accommodate their energy signatures specifically. Meanwhile, 17 and 18 have infinite energy, which sounds great for a weapon until you realize they're basically walking batteries that never run out. Cell doesn't need to absorb them for their fighting skills. He needs their energy. The same infinite energy that makes them perfect warriors also makes them perfect fuel. Android 16 adds another layer to this conspiracy theory lasagna. He's programmed to protect 17 and 18, explicitly designed to kill Goku, but somehow he's weaker than Cell. When 16 launches his Hell's Flash attack in episode 152, it's massive, flashy, and creates a crater the size of a small town. Cell walks out of it with some scratches and immediately absorbs 17 anyway. Android 16 had one job: protect these two from being eaten, and he's somehow built to lose that fight. Either Gero was the worst engineer in the universe, or 16 was designed to fail just convincingly enough that 17 and 18 wouldn't realize they were being shepherded toward their real purpose. The absorption itself plays out like watching someone fall for a scam in slow motion. Android 17 stands there, back turned to a crater, laughing about how nobody could survive Android 16's attack. Cell rises up behind him like a terrible Jack-in-the-Box. Tail opens up, and 17 gets the galaxy's worst surprise party. Tien screams a warning. 17 turns around. The tail is already descending. Then comes the most uncomfortable 10 seconds in Dragon Ball Z, where we watch Android 17 get vacuum sealed through Cell's tail and absorbed into his body like he's being stuffed into a biological straw. The whole sequence works flawlessly. Cell doesn't struggle, doesn't improvise, just executes the plan like he's following IKEA instructions. Cell transforms immediately. His power spikes so hard that Goku and Gohan sense it from the lookout. Semi-perfect Cell looks at his reflection in a puddle and seems satisfied with the upgrade. Then he immediately starts hunting Android 18. Because one android meal wasn't enough, he needs the combo deal. Android 16 tries to fight back, gets his skull cracked open so we can see his circuits, and falls to the ground like discarded packaging. The whole system worked exactly as designed. Cell found them, Cell absorbed one, Cell immediately went for the other. Android 16's protection failed. The infinite energy transferred perfectly. Gero's computer kept developing Cell in the basement while 17 and 18 thought they were living their best life committing Grand Theft Auto across the countryside. They were free-range androids basically, getting stronger and more charged up so they'd be better meals later. This recontextualizes the entire Android saga as the longest, most elaborate meal prep in anime history. Dr. Gero died, but his real plan lived on in his basement computer, patiently growing Cell in a tube and waiting for the walking batteries to reach optimal charge. The androids thought killing Gero meant they won. Cell spent those months evolving specifically to eat them. When semi-perfect Cell finally catches up to Android 16 and 18 in this episode, he's faster, stronger, and completely adapted to hunt them. Why did Gero make 17 and 18 so powerful they couldn't be controlled? Because Cell needed powerful energy sources. Why give them infinite energy? Because Cell's transformation requires massive, sustained power. Why make them look human and act like teenagers? Because they needed to survive long enough in the world to be absorbed later. Why did Gero's computer continue Cell's development after Gero died? Because Cell was always the real plan, and 17 and 18 were always just ingredients. Android 17 gets absorbed in episode 152 after dismissing the threat, refusing to run, and literally turning his back on danger. The androids were designed to be confident, powerful, and just arrogant enough to underestimate Cell. Every personality trait that made them effective rebels against Garo also made them perfect victims for Cell. Dr. Garo turned his androids into evolutionary snacks and programmed the whole thing to run automatically after his death. The man lost control of his creations, got killed by them, and still won because his basement computer kept cooking up the bio-android that would eventually eat them. Now let's move on to the next theory. Krillin was designed to lose from his first appearance. Episode 14, Goku's Rival, introduces Krillin with that exact title, calling him Goku's rival before we even meet the guy. The show spends 20 minutes proving the title is a lie. Krillin arrives at Kame House ready to train with Master Roshi, and the universe immediately starts dunking on him like he's a basketball hoop at a carnival. The flying Nimbus scene tells you everything you need to know. Goku hops on that cloud like he's boarding a bus. Krillin tries the same thing and plummets through it like he's made of disappointment. Master Roshi explains that only people with pure hearts can ride the Nimbus. The show just told you in the most visual way possible that these two characters will never be equals. One of them is literally too corrupt to sit on the same transportation. Dragon Ball starts introducing major characters in the tournament saga, setting up the core cast that will carry the franchise for decades. Goku arrives at Kame House after his adventure with Bulma, ready to get stronger and learn martial arts properly. Master Roshi, being Master Roshi, refuses to train anyone until they bring him young women, stellar priorities there, teach. Goku spends half the episode bringing back the wrong women. First a bodybuilder who could bench press a car, then a mermaid who punches Roshi in the face for being creepy. Meanwhile, somewhere in a jungle, a small bald kid is training against palm trees and running so fast through the desert that he creates sandstorms. The show builds up Krillin's arrival like he's going to be this incredible martial artist, someone who could actually challenge Goku. Krillin shows up and immediately faceplants into the sand. Goku helps him up because Goku helps everyone. It's basically his factory setting. Krillin introduces himself, explains he wants training from Master Roshi, and Roshi tells him no, just flat out rejects him. This is where it gets interesting. Krillin doesn't prove himself through skill or determination, or any traditionally heroic quality. He pulls out dirty magazines and bribes his way into consideration. Master Roshi, whose moral compass points directly at horny, suddenly changes his tune. Now both Goku and Krillin need to find Roshi a girl to secure their training spots. Goku already failed this task twice. Krillin agrees to help. The episode sets up this partnership between the two future students. Then comes the Flying Nimbus test, which is basically the show's way of announcing these characters are fundamentally different and always will be. Goku tells Krillin to jump on the cloud so they can search for girls together. Krillin tries. Krillin falls straight through. The cloud rejects him like a spam filter blocking a sketchy email. Master Roshi explains that only pure-hearted people can ride it. Krillin immediately proves this point by revealing he hid more dirty magazines from Roshi and hands them all over. The kid met his teacher 5 minutes ago and already started their relationship with deception and bribery. Meanwhile, Goku is over there eating everything in Roshi's fridge with zero ulterior motives, just pure hungry boy energy. The immediate contrast. Wait, I need to avoid contrast language. Let me rephrase. The scene shows Goku as naturally pure, and Krillin as naturally calculating. One character rides clouds, the other one schemes. One character approaches training with genuine enthusiasm, the other one approaches it with pornography. The episode titles itself Goku's Rival, and then spends 20 minutes showing you exactly why that title is aspirational fiction. Rivals are supposed to push each other, challenge each other, eventually surpass each other at different points. Krillin gets introduced and immediately sorted into a different category. The Flying Nimbus doesn't lie. It's literally a magical object that judges your moral purity, and Krillin failed the test before the training even started. This pattern echoes through the entire franchise. Krillin trains alongside Goku under Master Roshi, gets stronger, enters tournaments, and consistently places lower than Goku. He goes to Namek, gets his potential unlocked by Guru, which should be a massive power boost, and still ends up being the guy who gets murdered by Frieza to trigger Goku's Super Saiyan transformation. His death becomes Goku's character development. He gets revived, continues training, and remains the weakest Z fighter despite putting in the same work as everyone else. The show makes constant short jokes about him. Dude is an adult and characters still roast his height. His biggest win in the entire franchise is marrying Android 18, and even that gets played for comedy because everyone acts shocked that she chose him. Episode 14 establishes the template. Krillin enters scenes as a rival and exits them as support staff. He's there to make Goku look better by comparison, to be the normal human who can't keep up with Saiyan genetics, to die dramatically so the actual protagonist gets angry enough to win. The Flying Nimbus test was the writers telling you from minute one that Krillin would never ride at Goku's level. He lacks the purity, the natural talent, the protagonist energy. He bribes his way into training rather than earning it through demonstrated skill. The show introduces him with the word rival in the title and immediately proves he's something else entirely. The eternal sidekick, the comic relief, the guy who tries really hard and still ends up being the universe's punching bag. Every major arc reinforces this. Krillin faces enemies, loses, needs rescue. Goku faces enemies, wins, becomes legend. They started training together in episode 14. One of them ended up as Earth's defender. The other one ended up as the guy who dies to motivate Earth's defender. The Flying Nimbus knew the truth before anyone else did. Alright, time to move on to the next theory. The Z Fighters are literally addicted to almost dying. In the episode Frieza's second transformation, Piccolo lets Frieza transform into his third form when he could have just killed him. And this exact pattern repeats throughout Dragon Ball Z so consistently that it reveals something disturbing. The Z Fighters are psychologically incapable of taking easy wins. Piccolo just fused with Nail and got a massive power boost. He's been throwing Frieza around like a rag doll, completely dominating the tyrant who murdered most of the Namekian race. Everyone watching thinks Piccolo can actually win. Then Frieza casually mentions he has 2 more transformations left, and Piccolo's response is basically, cool, show me, instead of let me punch your head off right now. Keep in mind, this is the same Piccolo who's supposed to be the tactical genius of the group, the guy who thinks 3 steps ahead. And yet here he is, letting the genocidal Space Emperor level up like they're in a video game together. The whole fight leading up to this moment shows Piccolo getting stronger and stronger. First he's getting ragdolled, then he removes his weighted clothing, because apparently everyone in this universe trains with the equivalent of a small car strapped to their limbs. And suddenly, he's the one doing the ragdolling. Gohan, Krillin, Vegeta, and Dende are all watching, and actually starting to believe Piccolo might pull this off. The tension builds as Piccolo lands hit after hit. Frieza's getting frustrated, which in any normal universe would be the signal to finish the job. This would be like finally having your boss in a bad mood and deciding that's the perfect time to ask for a raise while also insulting their haircut. Frieza drops the bomb that he's got 2 more transformations in the tank. And Piccolo, this supposed tactical mastermind, says, go ahead and transform. The episode summary literally uses the word foolishly to describe this decision, which is the wiki equivalent of calling someone an idiot. Frieza transforms into his third form, and immediately the power dynamic flips harder than a pancake at IHOP during Sunday brunch rush. Frieza starts blasting Piccolo with finger beams so fast that Piccolo can't even dodge. It's like watching someone dominate at Mario Kart and then voluntarily driving into a blue shell. The fight goes from Piccolo might actually win this to Piccolo's getting destroyed in about 30 seconds flat. Meanwhile, Vegeta's over on the sidelines having his own moment of questionable decision-making by telling Krillin to beat him up instead of helping. His plan is to get healed by Dende for a power boost, which is somehow both clever and insane at the same time. The episode ends with Gohan charging at Frieza in rage, which is another pattern we'll see repeated approximately 7,000 times throughout the series. Piccolo gets absolutely wrecked. The guy who was just dominating Frieza is now getting perforated like a piece of printer paper going through a hole punch. Gohan loses his mind watching this happen because watching parental figures get beaten up is basically Gohan's trigger for temporary badassery. The immediate response from everyone is shock that Frieza is this powerful, which is wild because Frieza told them he had more transformations. They were literally warned, and Piccolo still let it happen. Here's where it gets really disturbing. This exact scenario plays out over and over throughout Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta lets Cell absorb the androids to reach his perfect form. Goku gives Cell a Senzu Bean before letting Gohan fight him. Goku has multiple opportunities to finish off Frieza, but doesn't. Goku lets Vegeta become Majin Vegeta. The pattern is so consistent, it stops being coincidence and starts looking like addiction. And here's the thing that makes it even more insane. Saiyans literally get stronger from almost dying. The Zenkai boost mechanic means that every time a Saiyan gets beaten within an inch of their life and recovers, they get massively stronger. The series literally built a biological reward system for almost dying. That's like if your body released dopamine every time you touched a hot stove, and then everyone acted shocked when you kept touching hot stoves. Piccolo isn't even a Saiyan, but he's been hanging around Goku so long that he's apparently caught the combat escalation addiction like it's a contagious disease. Maybe it spreads through proximity, like how people who live together end up using the same phrases. The Z Fighters actively sabotage themselves. They see a boss fight and think, yeah, but what if we made it harder? This episode is basically the moment where you realize the heroes have a collective death wish disguised as confidence. They're chasing that adrenaline high of a near-death experience. It's less hero's journey and more heroes who probably need therapy, but instead just keep finding stronger people to fight. The galaxy's fate keeps hanging in the balance because Earth's defenders are basically extreme sports enthusiasts who replaced bungee jumping with let the genocidal tyrant transform to maximum power. Every major villain in Dragon Ball Z gets multiple chances to reach their final form, specifically because the heroes cannot resist the urge to see how strong they can get. It's strategy for moths flying directly into bug zappers over and over while claiming they're testing their limits. And this episode with Piccolo and Frieza is maybe the purest example of this pattern, where someone goes from winning to losing specifically because they let their opponent level up mid-fight. The entire Frieza saga on Namek is basically everyone standing around waiting for Goku to show up while taking turns letting Frieza transform and murder their friends. That's the legacy of this episode. The moment it became undeniable that the Z fighters are psychologically incapable of taking the easy path, even when millions of lives are at stake. Now we're heading into the next theory. Vegeta's training addiction is why he never actually wins. In the episode A New Guardian, Vegeta enters the hyperbolic time chamber for his second time, desperate and dedicated to defeat Cell, and this moment reveals something disturbing about his character. Vegeta is psychologically addicted to training as a substitute for actually winning fights, and this addiction is the reason he never beats any major villain in the entire series. Piccolo just emerged from the hyperbolic time chamber with a massive power boost. Future Trunks recognizes how much stronger Piccolo has become. And Vegeta's response? He mocks Piccolo for even entering the chamber, saying he stayed the same. Then Vegeta immediately enters the chamber himself for a second year of training. The guy just spent a year in there with Trunks, came out, and his first thought is, yeah, but what if I trained more? This is like finishing a marathon and immediately signing up for another one before your legs stop hurting. The episode describes Vegeta as anxiously and impatiently waiting for Piccolo to finish so he can get back in there. This is junkie behavior. He's literally pacing outside a training room like someone waiting for their dealer. The chamber becomes vacant and Vegeta practically throws himself through the door. The episode says he's desperate, which is a weird word choice for someone who's supposed to be confident after all that training he just did. Here's the thing, Vegeta already trained in the chamber. He came out stronger than ever. He surpassed the Super Saiyan form and achieved what he thought was the pinnacle of Saiyan power. And it didn't fix his problems. Cell is still out there, so instead of changing his approach or working with the group or coming up with an actual strategy, Vegeta's solution is more training. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results, which is basically Vegeta's entire character arc in a nutshell. Meanwhile, Cell just massacred Earth's entire military while Vegeta is locked in a room punching the air for another year. Goku is out there, problem-solving, trying to find a new Guardian to restore the Dragon Balls. Bulma is working on Android 16's programming. Piccolo actually emerged from his training and is ready to help. Everyone else is taking action in the real world. Vegeta is in a time-dilated room doing push-ups. This would be like studying for a test by reading the same chapter 15 times instead of actually learning different material. The pattern holds up throughout the entire series. Vegeta's solution to every problem is training, and it never actually works. He trained his whole life to surpass Goku, didn't work. He trained on Namek and got destroyed by Frieza. He trained for the androids and got wrecked by Android 18. He trains in the chamber twice and still loses to Cell. Spoiler alert, he comes out of this second session, lets Cell reach perfect form to test his power, and gets absolutely demolished. He trains for 7 years between Cell and Buu, and he still can't beat Goku. He trains with Whis and Super, and he's still in second place. The really insane part? Vegeta's training addiction is directly responsible for Cell reaching perfect form. After all this training, after 2 separate years in the hyperbolic time chamber, Vegeta emerges and immediately lets Cell absorb Android 18 because he wants to fight Cell at full power. This is the equivalent of studying for a test for 2 years and then letting your rival cheat off you because you want to see if you're still smarter than them. The training made him so confident that he made the worst possible tactical decision. Goku trains too, obviously. But Goku treats training as preparation for life, while Vegeta treats life as an interruption to his training schedule. Goku trains and then goes to spend time with his family, have adventures, make friends, eat food, drive cars, which apparently he can do now, based on this episode's shocked reactions. Vegeta trains and then gets mad that reality won't pause so he can train more. Goku uses training as a tool. Vegeta uses training as a coping mechanism for his crushing insecurity about being second best. This episode even shows the contrast in how everyone else is handling the Cell situation versus how Vegeta is handling it. Piccolo trained and emerged ready to contribute to the group effort. Goku is actively problem-solving and coordinating with King Kai to find Namekians. Future Trunks is waiting at the lookout, ready to support his dad when he emerges. Vegeta is alone in a white void, punching his feelings into submission for the second time in a month. That's therapy metaphors writing themselves. The hyperbolic time chamber is basically Vegeta's comfort zone. It's a place where effort directly equals results, where variables are controlled, where he doesn't have to deal with the messy reality of other people being stronger than him or making better decisions than him. A year in there and he gets measurably more powerful. Meanwhile, in the real world, Goku can train for like a week and achieve the same results because he's just naturally more talented, which drives Vegeta absolutely insane. So Vegeta keeps going back to the chamber because it's the one place where he can feel like he's in control. The episode mentions that Vegeta mocks Piccolo for training and staying the same. This is projection so obvious it might as well be a PowerPoint presentation. Vegeta has been training his entire life, and his core problem, being weaker than Goku, has stayed exactly the same. He's been running on a treadmill for decades and getting mad that he's not moving forward. Piccolo actually changed by fusing with Nail and Kami, by accepting that he needed to evolve beyond just training. Vegeta's evolution is just train harder in the same ways. This episode is the perfect encapsulation of Vegeta's fatal flaw. While Cell is out there murdering people and building a tournament arena, while Goku is taking action to restore the Dragon Balls, while the Earth's military is at least trying to do something, however, futile, Vegeta is in a time chamber getting swole. He's treating a world-ending crisis like it's prep time for a bodybuilding competition. And when he emerges, he'll be stronger than ever and still lose, because power was never actually his problem. His problem is that he thinks power is the only thing that matters. The entire Cell saga is basically a case study in how Vegeta's training obsession creates disasters. He let Cell reach perfect form specifically because he trained so hard and wanted to test himself. That's the ultimate proof that the training is the problem. It gave him power without wisdom, strength without strategy, confidence without competence. He became so addicted to the feeling of getting stronger that he forgot the actual goal was stopping Cell, not proving something to himself. Every other Z fighter treats training as a means to an end. Vegeta treats the end as a means to justify more training. This episode shows him entering the chamber for round 2 while everyone else is moving forward with their lives and actual plans. The fact that he enters desperate tells you everything. He's training from a place of fear and inadequacy. And that's why no amount of training will ever be enough, and why he'll never actually beat the main villain in any saga. Let's jump right into the next theory, and remember to subscribe to our channel. Capsule Corp has been reverse engineering alien technology for decades. In the episode, The Secret of the Dragon Balls, Bulma arrives with a dragon radar and capsule technology at age 16, and this reveals something disturbing about Capsule Corporation. Their technology is impossibly advanced for Earth's development timeline, suggesting that Bulma's family has been secretly reverse engineering alien crash sites for generations, which explains why they adapt to extraterrestrial technology so suspiciously fast throughout the entire series. Bulma rolls up to Mount Paozu with a device that can detect mystical wish-granting orbs scattered across the entire planet. She's 16 years old. She built this in what we can assume was her spare time between being a teenager and doing teenager things. The Dragon Radar gives precise locations and distances across global ranges. This is technology that shouldn't exist on Earth yet, especially when you consider that, in this same episode, Goku has never seen a car before and thinks capsules are witchcraft. The capsule technology itself is even more insane. Bulma casually pulls out a tiny container and spawns an entire motorcycle. This is matter compression and storage technology that defies physics as we understand it. A full-size vehicle compressed into something the size of a breath mint. And apparently this technology is so common in Bulma's world that she just carries around multiple capsules like they're spare change. Meanwhile, Goku is out here fishing with his tail and living in a house that looks medieval. Earth's technology in Dragon Ball is weirdly inconsistent. They have capsule technology that can shrink entire buildings, but also still use landline telephones and have militaries that rely on conventional bullets and missiles, which we'll see fail spectacularly against basically every threat. They have dragon radars that can detect magic orbs across continents, but seem to be at roughly 1,980 seconds. 1,990 seconds tech level in most other areas. This isn't normal technological development. This is what happens when you're copying someone else's homework. Bulma mentions that her dad runs Capsule Corp, like it's just the family business. But where did this technology come from, Doctor? Brief supposedly invented capsule technology, but that's like saying someone in the 1,950 seconds just casually invented smartphones. The gap between Earth's baseline technology and capsule technology is so massive that it suggests outside influence. Dr. Brief had to be working from something, some kind of blueprint or sample that showed him it was even possible. The really damning evidence comes later in the series, when we see how easily Capsule Corp adapts to alien technology. When Bulma gets access to Namekian spacecraft, she figures it out almost immediately. When she's working on Android 16's programming in the Cell Saga, she's absolutely blown away by the degree of technological sophistication, but she's still able to work with it. She didn't need years of study. She could immediately interface with technology from an alien species and from a mad scientist who was apparently decades ahead of Earth's tech. This pattern repeats constantly. Capsule Corp gets access to Scion pods, Namekian ships, battle armor technology, and various other extraterrestrial tech throughout the series, and every single time, they adapt to it suspiciously fast. It's like they already know the underlying principles. It's like they've been studying this stuff for generations and just waiting for more samples to show up. Here's the theory that makes everything click. Capsule Corp has been built on reverse-engineered alien technology from crashed spacecraft. Dr. Brief, or his father, or his grandfather, found a crash site at some point, maybe decades before the series starts. They recovered technology that showed them things were possible that Earth hadn't even conceived of yet. They couldn't fully replicate everything, which is why Earth's tech is still limited in most area, but they could figure out specific applications like capsule storage technology. This would explain why Bulma is so good at understanding alien tech. She grew up around it. Her family's entire fortune is built on reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. The Dragon Radar. That's probably based on energy detection systems from whatever alien race they've been studying. Capsule technology. That's simplified compression tech that they managed to crack from alien storage systems. Bulma's not a genius who invented everything from scratch. She's a genius who's been trained since childhood in understanding technology that's not from Earth. The episode shows Goku's shock at seeing capsule technology for the first time. He thinks it's magic, and honestly, he's not that far off. From his perspective, someone who's been living in isolation with no exposure to advanced tech, capsules are magic. There's no logical progression from we have cars to we can shrink motorcycles into pills. That requires a fundamental breakthrough in understanding physics that doesn't happen in a vacuum. The Dragon Balls themselves are alien technology, Namekian, which makes Bulma's ability to detect them even more suspicious. She built a radar that can track alien artifacts using Earth technology? Or did she build it using principles she learned from studying other alien technology that her family has been hoarding? The Dragon Radar specifically tracks the unique energy signature of Dragon Balls. How would Bulma even know what signature to look for unless she had experience with similar alien energy sources? Throughout the entire series, every time Earth faces an alien threat or gets access to alien technology, who adapts fastest? Capsule Corp. Who figures out Scion pod technology? Bulma. Who can read Namekian ship controls? Bulma. Who can interface with time machines from the future? Bulma. It's that she has a foundation of knowledge that shouldn't exist on Earth unless Earth has been exposed to extraterrestrial technology before all these aliens started showing up in Dragon Ball Z. Bulma treating the Dragon Radar and capsule technology as casual, everyday items tells you everything. To her, this is normal. She grew up in a house where alien technology was probably just sitting in the basement or the lab. She learned to work with systems and principles that aren't from Earth. Her confidence in modifying and understanding alien tech throughout the series isn't plot convenience. It's because she's been training for this her entire life without even knowing it. The fact that Goku has never seen any of this technology before highlights how isolated it is. Capsule Corp has this stuff, but it hasn't filtered down to rural areas. It's controlled technology, probably because Capsule Corp knows the real source and doesn't want to explain where it came from. They're sitting on the biggest secret in human history, that we're not alone, and that we've been studying alien technology for generations, and they've monetized it by selling compressed storage containers to the masses. This episode is the beginning of a series where Earth repeatedly gets invaded by aliens, and every single time, Bulma and Capsule Corp are weirdly prepared to understand and adapt to the technology. That's decades of preparation and study that started long before Goku met Bulma on that road. The real secret isn't the Dragon Balls. It's that Capsule Corp has been reverse engineering crashed alien spacecraft for generations, and the entire Dragon Ball series takes place in a world where humanity has been secretly studying extraterrestrial technology the whole time. Now, on to our next theory. Regeneration completely breaks Dragon Ball's power scaling logic. In the episode, The Warrior's Decision, Vegeta fights Majin Buu while being stronger than Cell Saga Gohan was, and he's still losing because Buu can regenerate from anything instantly. revealing something fundamental about Dragon Ball's power system. The entire series is built on get stronger and win, but regeneration makes power levels completely meaningless, which is why every regenerating villain forces the heroes to break their normal patterns, and why these enemies are the only real existential threats in the franchise. Piccolo drops a crucial line early in the episode. Vegeta's energy is enormous, and he hasn't sensed anything like this since Gohan fought Cell. Vegeta has surpassed the power level that defeated Perfect Cell. That should mean something. In normal Dragon Ball logic, being stronger than the guy who beat the last final boss means you should absolutely demolish the current threat. And Vegeta does demolish Buu. He's pummeling him in what the episode describes as a one-sided fight, landing brutal combos, using Final Impact to blow a hole straight through Buu's stomach. And then Buu just regenerates. Immediately, the hole closes up like it never happened. All that power, all that training, all those years of Vegeta obsessing over becoming the strongest, completely meaningless because Buu can just undo damage faster than Vegeta can deal it. The episode shows Vegeta's realization in real time. He fires his Final Impact, one of his strongest attacks, creating a massive hole through Buu's entire torso. For a moment, it looks like it worked. Then Buu regenerates and the fight continues like nothing happened. Vegeta's face shows him calculating, trying to figure out how to win when conventional damage means absolutely nothing. Spoiler, he can't figure it out using normal fighting, which is why the next episode is called Final Atonement. Vegeta has to literally blow himself up because regular combat is useless. This breaks the fundamental rule of Dragon Ball. The series has spent hundreds of episodes establishing that the solution to any problem is training harder and getting a bigger power level. Goku trains to beat Piccolo. Goku trains to beat Vegeta. Goku trains to beat Frieza. Gohan trains to beat Cell. The formula is simple. Bad guy shows up, good guys train, good guys get stronger, good guys win. It's worked for the entire franchise up to this point. Buu's regeneration invalidates that entire system. Vegeta is stronger than Cell Saga Gohan, meaning he should theoretically be able to one-shot Perfect Cell if they fought again, and he still can't beat Buu. Power scaling has been the religion of Dragon Ball for its entire run, and regeneration is the atheist showing up to poke holes in all the doctrine. Here's the really insane part. This pattern holds up throughout the entire series. Look at every villain who forced the heroes to actually change their strategy rather than just get stronger. Piccolo, regeneration. Cell, regeneration. Buu, regeneration. And later in Super, Zamasu, regeneration and immortality. Meanwhile, villains without regeneration. Vegeta, Frieza, the androids, Broly, they all get beaten by conventional power-up and punch-harder tactics eventually. The Namekian regeneration that Piccolo has is played as a minor ability early on, but it's actually what makes him such a persistent threat in Dragon Ball. He gets his arm blown off and grows it back. You have to obliterate his head to kill him. Meanwhile, characters like Raditz or Nappa get killed by single attacks once the heroes reach the right power level. Piccolo forces Goku to use techniques, like the special beam cannon, that can bypass regeneration. Cell is the ultimate expression of this. Dr. Gero specifically gave Cell regeneration because he understood that regeneration is the cheat code that breaks the power scaling system. Cell can regenerate from a single cell. That means you can be infinitely stronger than Cell and still lose if you leave even a microscopic piece of him alive. Gohan only wins by using a Kamehameha that literally disintegrates every single cell simultaneously. He has to annihilate Cell on a molecular level because anything less means Cell comes back. The episode shows Buu taking this concept to its logical extreme. Vegeta blows a hole through him, regenerates. Buu tears off pieces of his own body to use as weapons and just makes more body. His regeneration is so fast and efficient that he can use his own flesh as a disposable resource. He wraps Vegeta in his own stomach fat using the potbelly attack and then beats him senseless while Vegeta can't defend himself. Buu has weaponized his regeneration to the point where his body is both his offense and defense simultaneously. This is why Buu is actually the most dangerous villain in Z, despite other villains technically being stronger or more destructive. Frieza could blow up planets, but you could kill Frieza if you were strong enough. Kid Buu is weaker than Super Buu, but he's more dangerous because he's completely unpredictable and will regenerate from anything while having zero strategy to exploit. You can't power up your way out of fighting Buu. You need the Spirit Bomb, an attack that represents literally everyone's energy combined to completely erase him. Even then, it barely works. The series has to completely abandon its normal rules to deal with regenerating enemies. Against Piccolo, Goku needs the Mafuba, containment, or tricks. Against Cell, Gohan needs to vaporize him entirely. Against Buu, they need fusion, a total power system overhaul, the Spirit Bomb, an attack that represents a philosophical shift from individual strength to collective power, or literally divine intervention. The normal Dragon Ball solution of Goku trains and comes back stronger doesn't work. This episode is Vegeta learning this lesson in the hardest way possible. He's achieved power that should make him invincible by Dragon Ball's established logic. He's surpassed Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who beat Perfect Cell. By all rights, he should be mopping the floor with Buu. Instead, Buu is dancing around him, playing with him, beating him mercilessly while wrapped in his own body like he's a toy. The power scaling system that Vegeta has dedicated his entire life to mastering is completely irrelevant. Piccolo's internal monologue in this episode reveals how aware everyone is that normal rules don't apply. He says Vegeta is their last chance, and that if Vegeta fails, the whole world depends on finding another solution. He knows Vegeta has the power to win by traditional metrics, but he's also watching Buu regenerate and realizing that power might not matter. That's why he sounds desperate rather than confident despite Vegeta's massive energy. The episode also shows why regeneration is narratively brilliant for forcing character growth. Vegeta can't win this fight with his normal approach. His entire character arc is about getting stronger so he can beat Goku and prove he's the best. But against Buu, being the best means nothing. He has to sacrifice himself next episode because his fighting philosophy has no answer to regeneration. The series forces him to value something other than personal strength, in this case, protecting his family and accepting that he can't win through conventional means. Throughout Dragon Ball, the regenerating villains are the ones who push the series to evolve beyond power levels go up, everyone wins. They force the introduction of new mechanics, fusion, the Spirit Bomb, new transformation rules, team tactics, Hakai energy in Super. Every time a regenerating enemy shows up, the series has to invent new solutions because the old solutions don't work anymore. This episode is the moment where Vegeta, the character who represents pure power scaling philosophy more than anyone, runs face first into the wall that regeneration creates. He's stronger than ever. He's surpassed Gohan at his peak. And he's getting absolutely demolished because regeneration doesn't care about your power level. Buu uses Angry Explosion and creates a massive crater that injures Vegeta despite him being supposedly strong enough to tank it, because regeneration means Buu can go all out without consequences while Vegeta has to conserve energy and avoid damage. The fact that Trunks and Goten rush in to help at the end shows that even the next generation recognizes that something is fundamentally wrong with this fight. In normal Dragon Ball fights, when someone is stronger, they win. That's the rule. But Trunks is watching his father, who should be powerful enough to win, get toyed with by an enemy who's breaking all the established rules of combat. The kids don't understand yet that regeneration invalidates everything they've been taught about fighting. Dragon Ball's entire narrative structure is built on escalation through power levels. Regeneration is the mechanic that breaks that structure and forces the series to actually be creative. Every regenerating villain represents an existential crisis for the franchise's core philosophy, which is why they're the most memorable and dangerous enemies despite often having lower power levels than other threats. This episode is Vegeta experiencing that crisis firsthand while being theoretically strong enough to solo Perfect Cell, and still losing. Let's keep things going with the next theory. The android's arrogance is why Cell actually wins. In the episode He's Here, Cell arrives on the battlefield and Android 17 and Android 18 look at him with complete boredom, believing that they could beat him easily. But the episode explicitly reveals they do not know, however, that Cell is stronger than both of them, and this pattern of catastrophically underestimating threats is the android's defining characteristic throughout the entire Cell saga, directly causing Cell to reach his perfect form and nearly destroy the planet. Cell shows up dramatically on a cliff overlooking the fight between Piccolo and Android 17. This should be a terrifying moment. Cell has been absorbing people for power. He's hunting specifically for the androids to absorb them, and he's clearly dangerous enough that Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha can sense his powerful energy from far away, and everyone reacts with concern. Cell even thanks Piccolo for finding the androids for him, making his intentions crystal clear. Android 17 and Android 18's response? Complete boredom. The episode describes them looking at Cell with total disinterest, genuinely believing they can beat him easily. This would be like seeing a serial killer break into your house and responding by yawning and asking if he wants some tea. Cell is literally telling them he's here to absorb them and become perfect, and their reaction is basically, "Whatever, dude, you look weak." The really insane part? They're completely wrong. The episode flat out states that Cell is stronger than both of them. Android 17 claims he's the newest model, top class, and that nothing is more powerful than me, during his fight with Piccolo. He genuinely believes he's unbeatable. Meanwhile, Cell is standing right there, objectively more powerful, and 17 is looking at him like he's a minor inconvenience. This is like a bodybuilder bragging about his strength while standing next to a grizzly bear. This pattern of arrogant underestimation defines the entire Android arc. Earlier in the saga, Android 17 is confused about why Piccolo got so much stronger, having zero idea that Piccolo fused with Kami. He's fighting someone and can't even figure out why his opponent is matching him. That's a pretty critical intelligence failure for someone who thinks he's top class. Android 18 does the same thing with Vegeta. She's so confident in her superiority that she literally breaks his arm while barely trying, but her arrogance also means she sticks around long enough for Cell to show up instead of running away when she should. The androids treat every fight like it's beneath them. They watch Piccolo and 17 fight and think it's meaningless, according to 16 and 18's perspective. When serious threats appear, they respond with boredom instead of caution. This is the opposite of how every other villain in Dragon Ball operates. Frieza is paranoid about Super Saiyans. Cell, ironically, is obsessed with achieving perfection because he knows he's incomplete. Boo is unpredictable but responds to actual threats. The androids just assume they're better than everyone. Android 17's dialogue in this episode is peak overconfidence. Nothing is more powerful than me. He says this while Piccolo, who just fused with Kami and got a massive power boost, is matching him blow for blow. He says this right before Cell, who is stronger than him, shows up. He's living in a reality where he's convinced himself he's unbeatable, despite all evidence pointing to the contrary. That's like claiming you're the fastest runner in the world while currently losing a race. The TV edit added dialogue where 17 tells Piccolo, "You actually believe that you have a chance to beat me, don't you?" Which is hilarious in retrospect because Piccolo absolutely has a chance. They're evenly matched in this fight. Android 17 is so confident in his superiority that he can't even conceive of the possibility that Piccolo might actually win. This is someone who's been programmed or built with such absolute confidence that reality can't penetrate it. Here's where it gets really damning. The android's arrogance is directly responsible for Cell reaching perfect form. If Android 17 and 18 had taken Cell seriously when he showed up in this episode, if they'd looked at him and thought, okay, maybe we should run or work together to beat this guy, Cell never absorbs them. The entire Perfect Cell arc happens because the androids looked at a being specifically designed to absorb them and thought, meh, we can take him. Future Trunks comes back specifically to warn everyone about the androids and to prevent the apocalypse they cause in his timeline. The androids' response to learning there's a time traveler trying to stop them? They treat it like a game. They're not taking the threat seriously because they've never had to take anything seriously. Dr. Garo built them so powerful that they became incapable of recognizing danger. Bulma is working on a shutdown remote in this episode specifically because the androids are such a threat. The entire world is mobilizing against them. Goku and Gohan are discussing whether Piccolo can win. Everyone else is terrified. And the androids are just chilling, fighting for fun, looking at Cell with boredom. This disconnect between how seriously everyone else takes the situation and how casually the androids approach everything is staggering. The episode shows androids 16 and 18 watching the Piccolo vs 17 fight and thinking it's meaningless. They're spectating their own crisis like it's entertainment. Android 16 is the only one with any sense. He's programmed to kill Goku, and he knows they should focus on that goal. But 17 and 18 are so confident in their power that they keep getting distracted by fights they think will be easy wins. Throughout the saga, every plan to stop the androids fails specifically because the androids refuse to take threats seriously until it's too late. Vegeta powers up to Super Saiyan and demolishes Android 19, then gets overconfident himself because apparently it's contagious. Android 18 beats Vegeta. Then Cell shows up and the androids think they can beat him too. They're wrong. Cell absorbs 17, then 18 still doesn't run away fast enough and gets absorbed too. The entire saga is just the androids learning, too late, that they're not as invincible as they thought. The irony is that the androids are incredibly powerful. Android 17 and Piccolo are evenly matched, and Piccolo just became the nameless Namekian again through fusion with Kami. He's stronger than he's ever been. The androids have the power to back up their confidence. The problem is, their confidence exceeds even their considerable power, which means they consistently make terrible tactical decisions. This is the opposite of how the Z fighters operate. Goku is constantly seeking stronger opponents because he knows he's not the best. Vegeta is paranoid about being surpassed. Piccolo makes careful tactical decisions. The heroes respect their opponents and prepare accordingly. The androids just show up and assume they'll win because they've never faced consequences for their arrogance before. Cell exploits this perfectly. He thanks Piccolo for finding the androids, making it clear he's been hunting them. He's upfront about his intentions. And the androids still don't take him seriously because they're psychologically incapable of believing anyone could threaten them. Cell is designed to absorb them. He's stronger than them. He explicitly tells them his plan, and their response is boredom. The episode ends with Cell looking down at them from a cliff, like a predator spotting prey. Piccolo looks fearful and terrified. Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha felt Cell's power from far away and knew something terrible was coming. Everyone who can sense energy knows this is bad news. The androids, who can't sense energy and rely on visual assessment, look at Cell and see nothing threatening. Their inability to sense ki means they're constantly operating with incomplete information, but their arrogance means they don't compensate for this limitation. This episode is basically the moment where the android's fatal flaw gets put on display for everyone to see. They're powerful enough to match Piccolo, confident enough to think nothing can threaten them, and wrong enough that Cell is about to absorb them and become the most dangerous villain in the saga. Their arrogance is the plot device that allows Cell to reach perfect form. If the androids had taken Cell seriously for even 5 seconds, the entire Cell Games arc never happens. Every other villain in Dragon Ball eventually shows respect for their opponents or learns from their mistakes. Vegeta becomes an ally. Piccolo reforms. Even Frieza recognizes when he's outmatched too late, but he recognizes it. The androids never learn. They go from underestimating Piccolo to underestimating Cell, to getting absorbed while still probably thinking they could have won if they'd tried harder. Their inability to accurately assess threats is so consistent it stops being a personality flaw and starts looking like a design defect that Dr. Gero accidentally programmed into them. This episode shows Cell arriving to hunt the androids, and the androids responding with complete boredom, and that's basically the entire Cell saga in one scene. The androids are so convinced of their own superiority that they can't recognize danger even when it's explicitly threatening them. That's a catastrophic failure of threat assessment that results in perfect Cell and nearly the destruction of the planet. Their arrogance is the reason Cell wins. Time to dive into the next theory. Goku has been developing psychic powers throughout the series and nobody talks about it. In the episode Unwelcome Discovery, Goku has a nightmare featuring Android 17 and Android 18 inches, perfect detail, their appearances, fighting styles, personalities, and even the Lucky Foods van they travel in, despite having never seen any of them. And this is proof that Goku has been developing legitimate psychic abilities throughout the entire series that everyone ignores because apparently precognition is less important than who can punch harder. Goku's nightmare is incredibly specific. Android 17 and Android 18 show up at a cabin with accurate designs. They kill Gohan and Krillin with single punches, which matches their actual power levels. Android 18 chokes Chi-Chi. Android 17 catches future Trunks' sword and impales him. These aren't generic bad guy behaviors. These are character-specific actions that match how the androids actually fight. Goku even sees them arrive in the Lucky Foods van, a detail he has absolutely no way of knowing. The episode's own trivia section basically confirms this is psychic ability. It explicitly states, after Goku drank the ultra-divine water, he had visions of the future and a clear understanding of things, implying that he had developed some level of psychic ability. It mentions that after training in 100x gravity on the way to Namek, he had developed deeper psychic abilities, as shown when he read Krillin's mind. The trivia even references Bardock, implying Goku has psychic ability with the line, "You see it too, don't you?" Then it concludes, for all of these reasons, it is perfectly reasonable for Goku to have psychic foresight within his dreams. So the episode literally confirms Goku has psychic powers, and then nothing. Nobody talks about it. Goku wakes up screaming, Chi-Chi gives him his medicine, and everyone moves on, like the main character didn't just have a prophetic vision. This would be like if Superman suddenly started reading minds and the Justice League just shrugged. Let's trace Goku's psychic development throughout the series. In Dragon Ball, Goku drinks the ultra-divine water from Korin. This unlocks his potential, but the trivia suggests it also gave him visions of the future and a clear understanding of things. That's psychic ability. That's literal precognition and enhanced perception. Then Goku trains on the way to Namek in 100x gravity. When he arrives and meets Krillin, he demonstrates the ability to read Krillin's mind. He knows what happened to them without being told. That's telepathy. Actual, legitimate telepathy. Vegeta is shocked. Everyone is shocked. And then they all just accept it and move on. Nobody asks, hey Goku, when did you become telepathic? The Bardock connection is even more insane. The TV special suggests that Bardock has psychic visions of the future. He sees the destruction of planet Vegeta before it happens, and Bardock implies that Goku inherited this ability with "you see it too, don't you?" This means psychic ability might be genetic for Saiyans, or at least for Goku's bloodline. Goku is psychic because his father was psychic, and apparently nobody thinks this is worth mentioning more than once. Throughout Dragon Ball Z, Goku demonstrates abilities that go beyond just sensing energy. He uses instant transmission, which requires locking onto someone's key signature from anywhere in the universe and teleporting directly to them. That's pinpoint psychic tracking across infinite space. Goku can find King Kai from Earth. He can find Namekians in a completely different galaxy. That's absurdly advanced psychic ability disguised as a transportation technique. In this episode, Future Trunks realizes his timeline is a parallel timeline that can't be affected by changes in the present. He's grappling with time travel mechanics and parallel realities. Meanwhile, Goku is having prophetic dreams about future threats with perfect accuracy, and everyone just treats it like he ate some bad fish. Goku's nightmare shows him the androids before he meets them. This is the same ability Bardock had, seeing future events that haven't happened yet. Goku literally inherited his father's psychic powers and has been slowly developing them throughout his entire life. The Ultra Divine Water awakened it, training in extreme gravity enhanced it. By the Android Saga, he's having full precognitive visions in his sleep. The really crazy part is that Goku never uses his psychic abilities strategically. He can read minds, he can have prophetic visions, he can sense and track anyone in the universe. These are incredibly powerful abilities that could solve so many problems, but Goku just doesn't. He uses instant transmission for convenience and occasionally mentions sensing someone's energy, but he never thinks, maybe I should use my psychic powers to locate Dr. Gero's lab, or maybe I should read Android 17's mind to figure out their plans. It's like the series gave Goku psychic powers as a side effect of his training and then forgot that psychic powers are supposed to be useful. Everyone is so focused on power levels and transformations that they ignore the fact that Goku has been accumulating telepathy, precognition, and universal range psychic tracking. Even the way the psychic abilities manifest suggests they're getting stronger. In early Dragon Ball, Goku just had general understanding from the Ultra Divine Water. On Namek, he could read a nearby ally's mind with concentration. By the Android Saga, he's having detailed, accurate prophetic dreams about specific enemies with perfect visual clarity. His psychic powers are scaling up alongside his combat abilities, except nobody acknowledges the psychic scaling at all. The trivia section going out of its way to explain that Goku's dream is perfectly reasonable because of his established psychic abilities suggests even the documentation team recognized this was a pattern. They had to explicitly justify why Goku can see things he shouldn't know about. That means it's not an accident or plot convenience, it's an intentional extension of abilities he's been developing. This episode explicitly shows Goku having accurate visions of future threats. The trivia confirms this is psychic ability stemming from multiple sources: Ultra Divine Water, gravity training, genetic inheritance from Bardock. And then the series moves on like this isn't absolutely insane. Goku has precognition, telepathy, and universal psychic tracking, and everyone treats it as so normal that they don't even comment on it. Future Trunks is dealing with the revelation that time travel created parallel timelines. The second time machine discovery raises questions about who else is time traveling. Vegeta is declaring, "I will be legendary," after being humiliated. And in the middle of all this, Goku is casually demonstrating psychic abilities that would make him the most powerful telepath on the planet if anyone bothered to acknowledge it. Throughout the rest of the series, Goku continues to demonstrate psychic-adjacent abilities that everyone just accepts. He senses people across dimensions. He communicates mentally with allies. He knows things he shouldn't know, and it all traces back to this consistent pattern of psychic development that started with the Ultra Divine Water. Goku has been accumulating psychic powers for years, and everybody's too busy arguing about power levels to notice that the strongest fighter in the universe is also becoming a psychic. The show confirms he has these abilities, shows them working, then immediately forgets about them because punching stuff is more important. Now we move forward to the next theory. Goku's rest strategy is actually more important than training. In the episode, No Worries Here, Goku exits the hyperbolic time chamber early and spends the days before the Cell games fishing, napping, and eating instead of training, while Vegeta has a temper tantrum and rushes back into the chamber. And this reveals something fundamental about Dragon Ball's power system. Rest and recovery actually provide more power gains than training itself, but everyone except Goku is too obsessed with grinding to realize that Saiyans get stronger during recovery periods, not during the training. Goku and Gohan leave the hyperbolic time chamber with time remaining. Piccolo is astonished. The Cell games are coming. Cell is stronger than Goku. Korin confirms this after Goku powers up to 50% of his strength, and Goku's response to being weaker than the enemy is to go fishing and take naps. Vegeta thinks it's insanity. He's yelling at Piccolo to stop wasting time and get into the chamber immediately. But Goku knows he's weaker than Cell. Korin straight up tells him that Perfect Cell is more powerful. Goku has this information, and instead of training harder to close that gap, he goes to Kame House and plays in a lake with Krillin and Gohan. This is either complete irresponsibility or Goku understands something about power development that everyone else doesn't. The episode shows Krillin testing Goku's Super Saiyan awareness by throwing a rock at his head while he naps. The rock hits Goku directly in the face. Goku doesn't sense it coming at all, despite being in Super Saiyan form. He's genuinely relaxed to the point where his combat awareness is completely off. Meanwhile, Vegeta is losing his mind on the lookout. The episode shows him going through a temper tantrum thinking about how Goku always surpasses him in strength whenever he catches up. Vegeta trained in the hyperbolic time chamber for a full year. Then Goku trains for a year. Vegeta goes back in for another year. And somehow Goku is still stronger. Vegeta's solution? Train more. Meanwhile, Goku is teaching Gohan how to fish with fishing poles like normal people. Here's where it gets insane. This pattern of Goku rests while everyone trains and somehow Goku ends up stronger repeats throughout the entire series. Look at the Namek Saga. Goku trains in 100x gravity, then gets beaten nearly to death by Ginyu. He's put in a healing tank and sleeps. When he wakes up, he's massively stronger, strong enough to fight Frieza. The power gain from sleeping in the tank appears to be more significant than the power gain from all the gravity training. The Zenkai boost mechanic makes this obvious. Saiyans get stronger from near-death experiences, but the boost happens during recovery, not during the injury itself. Vegeta figures this out and starts deliberately getting beaten up and healed repeatedly, but he's still focused on the getting beaten up part as the training. What if the healing is the actual source of the power gain? What if the recovery period is doing the work, and the injury is just the trigger? In this episode, Goku explains that he and Gohan mastered full power Super Saiyan by staying in the form constantly. But notice what they're doing while in this form: normal life activities. Eating, sleeping, talking, relaxing. They're living in Super Saiyan form. The power gain comes from their bodies adapting to the form during normal activities and rest, not from constant combat training. The episode shows Goku and Gohan just lying around and stuffing themselves with food instead of training. This looks like laziness, but eating and resting are recovery activities. Saiyans need massive caloric intake to fuel their power. Sleep is when the body repairs and grows. Goku is treating the final days before Cell like a recovery period, not a training period. Cell is in space, destroying meteors to intimidate people. Vegeta is in the hyperbolic time chamber, training desperately. Everyone is in train harder mode. Goku is fishing. And when the Cell games actually happen, Goku is the only one who gives Cell a real fight. The Senzu Bean mechanic makes this explicit. Senzu Beans provide instant full recovery, and fighters consistently become more effective after eating a Senzu Bean than they were before getting injured. The recovery is doing something beyond just healing damage. It's providing an opportunity for the body to adapt and improve. The episode explicitly shows that when Goku powered up for Korin, Piccolo, Vegeta, Tien, and future Trunks felt it from the lookout. They comment that if Goku had used all his power, not just the 50% he showed, they wouldn't still be standing. Goku has this much power after leaving the time chamber early and resting. Vegeta trained for 2 full years in the chamber and is still weaker. The difference is the rest period. Krillin's rock test is the perfect demonstration. Goku is in Super Saiyan form. He should theoretically be alert and battle ready at all times. Instead, he's so deeply relaxed that a rock hits him in the head. He's achieved true rest while in his powered-up form. Vegeta's entire character arc is a demonstration of what happens when you only train and never rest properly. He trains constantly, pushes himself to his limits, and is perpetually frustrated that Goku keeps surpassing him. Vegeta sees Goku training less and assumes Goku is slacking. What Vegeta doesn't understand is that Goku's rest periods are part of his training strategy, not breaks from training. The episode title is No Worries Here, with the Japanese title translating to Goku's Composure. The episode is explicitly about how Goku stays calm and relaxed while everyone else panics. Goku knows that freaking out and training frantically won't help. What helps is training efficiently, then resting thoroughly, then showing up ready. This completely inverts the standard shonen training arc formula. Usually, the hero trains harder than everyone else and wins through superior effort. Goku trains smart, rests strategically, and wins because his body actually has time to adapt to and integrate the training. Everyone else is overtraining and not giving their bodies recovery time to actualize the gains. The episode shows Goku and Gohan fishing with fishing poles like normal people for the first time. Using a fishing pole is the less efficient, more relaxing method. Goku is deliberately choosing the relaxing approach when he could easily just catch fish the fast way. He's prioritizing rest and normalcy over efficiency. Every villain in Dragon Ball shows up at peak power and eventually loses to heroes who had recovery time. Frieza ruled the universe for decades but lost to Goku after Goku took a healing nap. Cell achieved perfection but lost to Gohan after Gohan had time to watch and process the fight. This episode crystallizes Goku's strategy. When you know you're weaker than your opponent and have limited time, the answer is to train efficiently, then rest completely, not to train frantically until the fight. Goku is weaker than Cell. He knows this. He chooses to fish and nap, and when the Cell games happen, he's the strongest he's ever been. The rest period between leaving the chamber and the tournament is when the real gains happen. Everyone else is in the time chamber grinding. Goku is at Kame House, recovering, and Goku's strategy is the correct one. Moving along, here comes the next theory. If you're enjoying this video so far, subscribe to our channel. Vegeta's pride is what actually kills him throughout the entire series. In the episode, The End of Vegeta, Vegeta is already dying from Frieza's brutal beating, but what actually gets him killed is that he starts laughing at Frieza and proclaiming that Goku is a Super Saiyan who will defeat him, causing Frieza to fire a death beam directly through Vegeta's heart in rage. And this reveals something fundamental about Vegeta's character. His pride is consistently what causes his defeats and deaths throughout the entire series, making it his literal fatal flaw rather than just a personality trait. Vegeta is beaten. He's battered, he's lying on the ground with maybe seconds left to live. The smart move is silence. Say nothing, conserve energy. Maybe you survive long enough for Goku to get you a Senzu Bean. Instead, Vegeta sees Goku easily dodge Frieza's attacks, and his pride forces him to laugh. He's dying and he can't help himself. He has to taunt Frieza. He claims Goku is a Super Saiyan and will defeat him. The episode describes Frieza as irate at this mockery. Frieza responds by immediately killing Vegeta with a death beam through the heart. Vegeta's pride literally couldn't let him die quietly. He was going to die anyway from his injuries, but he had to get the last word. He had to mock Frieza one more time, and it got him killed faster. His pride took away whatever few moments he had left. Look at how Vegeta dies or gets defeated throughout the series. It's never just the enemy was too strong. It's always Vegeta's pride made him do something catastrophically stupid. Saiyan Saga, Vegeta refuses to retreat even when he's clearly losing. His pride won't let him accept defeat against low-class warriors. He could have left Earth, regrouped, come back stronger. Instead, he keeps fighting until Goku breaks his body and Gohan crushes him. His pride kept him in a fight he was losing. Android Cell Saga, Vegeta lets Cell absorb Android 18 specifically because his pride demands he fight Cell at his strongest. Future Trunks literally tries to stop him. Everyone begs him not to. Vegeta attacks his own son to let Cell reach perfect form. His pride requires that he prove himself against the strongest possible opponent. Cell immediately beats him nearly to death. Vegeta's pride directly causes Cell to reach perfect form. Majin Buu Saga. Vegeta allows Babidi to control him and turn him into Majin Vegeta, specifically because his pride can't handle being weaker than Goku. He literally sells his soul to evil magic because his pride demands he surpass Kakarot. This gives Majin Buu enough energy to revive. Then his pride demands he fix his mistake by fighting Buu alone, which leads to his self-destruct sacrifice, which doesn't even work. Resurrection F, in Super. Vegeta has Frieza beaten. He's dominating the fight, and Vegeta's pride makes him toy with Frieza instead of finishing him. He wants to make Frieza suffer. He wants to prove his superiority. This gives Frieza the opening to destroy Earth. Vegeta's pride literally got the entire planet killed, until Whis reversed time. The pattern is undeniable. Vegeta loses or dies specifically because his pride forces him to make the worst possible tactical decision at critical moments. This episode crystallizes the pattern. Vegeta is literally dying. He has no fight left, his body is broken, and he still can't help himself. His pride demands he mock Frieza. The episode shows him laughing at Frieza while claiming Goku is a Super Saiyan. Frieza's response is immediate, death beam through the heart. Vegeta's last act before dying is letting his pride get him killed faster. The episode even shows Vegeta's backstory to explain his pride. He was taken from King Vegeta as a child, forced to serve Frieza, watched his father, and race destroyed. His pride is his psychological armor against being a victim, but that same pride is what keeps getting him killed. He's so desperate to prove he's not weak that he makes suicidal decisions over and over. Goku tells Vegeta to stop talking and save his strength. Vegeta ignores him. He keeps talking, pouring out his history, begging Goku to defeat Frieza. He can't stop. His pride won't let him die without having his say, without getting one last moment of defiance, and all that talking uses up his remaining energy faster. The episode contrasts Vegeta with Goku perfectly. Goku arrives, immediately understands the situation, and focuses on defeating Frieza. He doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to mock Frieza, he just fights efficiently. Meanwhile, Vegeta's pride demands he make speeches and laugh at Frieza even while dying. Goku survives the saga. Vegeta dies. The trivia notes this is the first time Vegeta dies on screen in the series. His first on-screen death is caused by his pride making him taunt Frieza while dying. That sets the template for every future Vegeta defeat. Pride before survival, pride before strategy, pride before common sense. Even Vegeta's final words are about pride. He doesn't say thank you or I'm sorry. He says he was made into a killing machine by Frieza and begs Goku to defeat him. His dying speech is about his wounded pride and demanding vengeance. He can't die without framing his entire life through the lens of pride. The episode reveals that Frieza killed both Bardock and King Vegeta. Same trauma, opposite responses. Goku's response is to claim he doesn't care about his race or his father's demise and just focuses on the fight. Vegeta's response is to make his entire identity about avenging his race and proving Saiyan superiority. Goku's approach keeps him alive. Vegeta's approach gets him killed. Throughout the series, whenever Vegeta achieves a power-up, his immediate response is pride, and that pride immediately leads to his next defeat. He achieves Super Saiyan. Pride makes him challenge the androids recklessly. He surpasses Goku momentarily. Pride makes him let Cell reach perfect form. He gets a new form in Super. Pride makes him toy with enemies instead of finishing them. The power-up is never the problem. The pride that follows is always the problem. This episode shows Vegeta at his most vulnerable, crying, begging, dying, and even in that state, his pride forces him to laugh at Frieza first. He can't even be vulnerable without mixing in defiance. His pride is so fundamental to his psychology that it operates even when it's actively killing him. The episode ends with Goku fueled with a desire to avenge all of Frieza's victims across the universe. Goku is fighting for others. Vegeta's dying request was for Goku to not show mercy and stop Frieza from turning people into killing machines. Even Vegeta's final wish is about pride, not wanting others to suffer the humiliation he suffered. The series treats Vegeta's pride as tragic and noble. The episode is titled about the proud Saiyan dying. His final speech is emotional and moving. But strip away the dramatic music and what you have is someone who got himself killed faster because he couldn't stop taunting his murderer. Vegeta's pride is his fatal flaw in the most literal sense possible. It's the specific thing that causes his defeats and deaths throughout the entire series. This episode establishes that pattern, with Vegeta laughing at Frieza and getting immediately killed for it. Every future Vegeta defeat follows the same template. Pride leads to bad decision leads to defeat. His pride directly causes losses. Now, turning to the next theory, the gods keep recruiting Earth's fighters for plans that completely fail. In the episode Learn to Fuse, Supreme Kai brings Gohan to the sacred world of the Kai, where no mortal has ever set foot before, and explains that Gohan needs to pull out the legendary Z-Sword that makes its owner unbeatable. While Kibito doubts Gohan and thinks it was a mistake bringing him to the planet, and this entire divine plan fails catastrophically because the sword breaks, and the real solution comes from accidentally releasing old Kai, revealing a pattern throughout Dragon Ball. The gods keep recruiting Earth's fighters for elaborate divine schemes that fail completely, and Earth only survives because mortals improvise solutions the gods never planned. Supreme Kai brings Gohan to a place where no mortal has ever been. This is presented as a huge honor and a carefully thought out plan. The gods have this legendary sword that will make Gohan unbeatable. Kibito even gives Gohan new clothes because he cannot train in dirty old rags. They're preparing Gohan for this momentous divine task, and the entire plan is worthless. The Z-Sword breaks when Goku throws a rock at it. The sword was never the solution. Old Kai, being trapped inside and getting released when it breaks, is the actual solution, which was completely accidental. Supreme Kai didn't bring Gohan there to release Old Kai. He didn't even know Old Kai was in the sword. His plan was pull out sword, become unbeatable, defeat Buu. The plan failed at step 1 when the sword turned out to be breakable. Everything that actually helps happens because the gods' plan failed so badly that it broke their legendary weapon. This exact pattern repeats throughout the entire series. Kami's plan is to have Goku defeat Piccolo at the tournament. What actually happens? Piccolo becomes good and eventually fuses with Kami. King Kai trains Goku to defeat the Saiyans with Spirit Bomb and Kaioken. What actually happens? The Spirit Bomb fails, Kaioken breaks Goku's body, and Earth survives because Gohan goes Great Ape, something King Kai told Goku to avoid, and Krillin spares Vegeta. Supreme Kai's plan is to stop Boo's revival. What actually happens? Vegeta gets mind-controlled and gives Boo the energy he needs. Then Supreme Kai's backup plan is the Z-Sword, which breaks. Earth survives through fusion, Goku's improvised solution, and Vegeta's sacrifice. Throughout the series, every time a god recruits an Earth fighter, the god's plan fails, and the mortal has to figure out a better solution. Kami's plan was to defeat Piccolo, but the actual solution was Piccolo becoming good. King Kai's plan was to defeat the Saiyans with the Spirit Bomb, but the actual solution was sparing Vegeta and letting Gohan go ape. Supreme Kai's plan was to stop Boo's revival, but the actual solution was fusion and Vegeta's sacrifice after the revival happened anyway. Supreme Kai's second plan was the Z-Sword, making Gohan unbeatable, but the actual solution was Old Kai's ritual after the sword broke. Beerus's plan was to fight Super Saiyan God, but the actual solution was Goku absorbing God Ki into his base form. Whis' plan was to train them properly, but the actual solution was Ultra Instinct achieved through mortal determination outside of Whis' training methods. The episode shows Supreme Kai explaining that the sword makes its owner unbeatable. This is a god telling a mortal that this divine weapon has the power to solve their problem. And the sword absolutely does not make anyone unbeatable because it breaks. The gods are either lying or they're wrong about their own legendary weapons. The really damning part is that Kibito doubts the plan immediately. He thinks bringing Gohan was a mistake. Even the divine attendant knows this probably won't work. The gods are failing while their own support staff questions their decisions. The episode contrasts divine planning with mortal improvisation. Supreme Kai has brought Gohan to a sacred world with a legendary sword and ceremony. Meanwhile, Goku tells crying kids there's no time for tears, and they need to learn fusion in a few days. Supreme Kai's approach is elaborate and fails. Goku's approach is brutal but works. Gohan succeeds despite Supreme Kai's plan, not because of it. He gets his power unlocked by Old Kai after the sword breaks, which was never part of Supreme Kai's strategy. If Supreme Kai had been right about the sword, Old Kai never gets released and Gohan never gets his unlock. The plan failing is what saves Earth. This episode is the perfect example because Supreme Kai is bringing Gohan to literally the most sacred place in the universe with the most legendary weapon, and the whole thing is a waste of time. The gods' best plan with their best resources in their most sacred location fails completely. That's the template for divine planning in Dragon Ball. Maximum confidence, elaborate setup, complete failure, mortal improvisation saves the day. Alright, let's head into the next theory. Goku's trusting nature is his biggest weakness and causes most of his problems. In the episode Gozen Mez, Goku falls into hell and defeats two guardian demons in challenges, and when they promise to show him a secret route back to Snake Way, Goku trusts them completely despite them being literal demons in hell, only to be tricked into King Yema's desk drawer and forced to restart his entire journey from the beginning, revealing a pattern that defines Goku's entire character. His willingness to trust anyone, even obvious enemies, consistently creates disasters throughout the series that could be avoided if he had normal survival instincts. Goku is in hell. He's talking to demons, guardian demons whose job is to keep people in hell, and when they say, "Hey, we'll show you the secret way out," Goku just believes them. He wins both challenges easily, the sumo match against Goz and the game of tag against Mez. He proves he's stronger and faster than them, and then these demons, who he just beat, offer to help him escape the place they're supposed to guard. And Goku thinks, yeah, that makes sense. The secret route leads directly into King Yema's desk drawer. Goku has to travel the entire length of Snake Way again from the beginning. All his progress is erased because he trusted demons in hell. The episode shows this as lighthearted filler, but it reveals something fundamental about Goku's character. He will trust anyone who tells him they want to help, regardless of context, motivation, or common sense. This exact pattern repeats throughout the entire series, except instead of just wasting time, Goku's trust creates existential threats to the universe. Vegeta on Earth. Vegeta comes to Earth specifically to kill everyone and steal the Dragon Balls. He murders civilians, tries to destroy the planet, and nearly kills all of Goku's friends. When he's defeated and defenseless, Goku tells Krillin to spare him. Krillin has a sword raised, ready to end the threat permanently. Goku says let him go, he might change. This is someone who just tried to commit genocide, and Goku's response is trust. Vegeta goes on to cause massive problems in every subsequent saga. Frieza on Namek, Goku has Frieza beaten. Frieza is cut in half, begging for energy. Goku, despite everything Frieza has done, destroying planets, genociding the Saiyans, killing Vegeta and Krillin, gives Frieza his energy. Goku literally powers up his enemy, out of trust that Frieza will use it to escape rather than attack. Frieza immediately attacks with that energy. Goku's trust nearly gets him killed. Cell and the Senzu Bean. This is the most infamous example. Cell is about to fight Gohan. Goku tosses Cell a Senzu Bean to restore him to full power. Everyone is horrified. Goku trusts that a fair fight is more important than the survival of Earth. He trusts that Gohan can handle it. Cell nearly destroys the planet because Goku decided to trust the bioweapon designed to kill him. Majin Buu. Goku has multiple opportunities to kill Majin Buu when Buu is weak or distracted. He chooses not to because he trusts that Trunks and Goten can handle it with fusion, or that someone else will figure it out. His trust in leaving it to others nearly causes the destruction of the universe. Buu kills billions of people while Goku keeps trusting that his plans will work out. Frieza in Resurrection. Frieza literally destroyed Earth last time, came back for revenge, and Goku's first instinct is to offer him a chance to train and get stronger. Goku trusts that Frieza might become a better person through training. This is the tyrant who genocided his entire race, and Goku thinks maybe he just needs some personal growth time. Tournament of Power. Goku trusts that Universe 7's team will win, despite recruiting people like Android 1, 7 who he barely knows, and Frieza, who tried to destroy Earth multiple times. He trusts Frieza to actually help instead of betray them. His trust in team dynamics nearly gets the entire universe erased. The pattern is undeniable. Goku's trust causes problems in every saga. It's not that he's stupid. The episode shows him outsmarting Goz and Mez in their challenges. He tricks Mez in the tag game and defeats Goz easily in sumo. Goku can think strategically when it comes to fights, but when it comes to trusting people, he has zero survival instinct. The episode contrasts Goku with Gohan. While Goku is getting tricked in hell, Gohan is shown playfully dodging the saber-toothed tiger while gathering food. Gohan tires out the tiger and then prompts it to keep chasing him for training. Gohan is treating a predator as a predator while using it for his benefit. He's outsmarting it. Meanwhile, Goku is trusting demons and getting sent back to the starting line. What makes Goku's trust even more insane is that it's not based on evidence. He doesn't trust Goz and Mez because they've earned it. They're demons who literally knocked him into hell. His trust is automatic and unconditional. The same pattern applies to every enemy. Goku doesn't wait for them to prove they've changed. He just assumes they deserve trust and deals with the consequences later. The episode shows Goku's trust getting punished immediately. He trusts the demons, gets pranked, loses all his progress. In a filler episode, this is harmless. But the series applies this same character trait to life or death situations. Goku trusts Vegeta. Vegeta helps Cell reach perfect form. Goku trusts that giving Cell a Senzu is fine. Cell nearly kills Gohan and destroys Earth. Goku trusts that Majin Buu can be dealt with later. Buu kills most of Earth's population. Every other character in the series shows normal caution around enemies. Vegeta doesn't trust anyone. Piccolo is suspicious of everyone. Krillin knows when to be scared. They have survival instincts. Goku treats every enemy like a potential friend, regardless of how many times that approach fails. The episode is a perfect microcosm because the consequences are immediate and clear. Goku wins the challenges. He's proven stronger. The demons have no leverage. And they trick him anyway because Goku's default is trust. He doesn't question their motives or consider that demons in hell might not be helpful. He just believes them and walks into their trap. This would be character growth material in most series. The hero learns not to trust so easily after getting burned. Goku never learns. He gets tricked by Goz and Mez, and decades later in Super, he's still trusting Frieza and giving enemies chances. His trust isn't strategic or earned. It's a compulsion that he apparently cannot overcome despite overwhelming evidence that it causes problems. The series frames Goku's trust as noble and pure. He believes in second chances. He sees the good in people. But strip away the heroic framing and what you have is someone with catastrophically poor judgment who consistently makes decisions that endanger everyone around him. He trusts demons in hell and loses all his training progress. He trusts genocidal tyrants and they nearly destroy planets. Same character trait, different stakes. Goku's trust is his fatal flaw that creates most of the series' conflicts. Without Goku sparing Vegeta, there's no Cell saga. Vegeta lets Cell reach perfect form. Without Goku's trust in leaving things to others, Majin Buu dies much faster. Without Goku trusting that people deserve chances, Half the villains in the series would be dealt with before they become existential threats. This episode shows the pattern in miniature. Goku trusts enemies who have given him zero reason to be trustworthy, gets punished for it, and has to start over. That's the template for Goku's entire character arc across Dragon Ball Z and Super. He keeps trusting, keeps getting betrayed or proven wrong, and keeps doing it anyway, because apparently no amount of evidence can convince him that some people don't deserve immediate trust. Now it's time for the next theory. Goku subconsciously refuses to completely kill his opponents. Episode 179, No More Rules, shows Goku charging up his most devastating attack against Perfect Cell, flying high into the air while everyone panics that he's about to vaporize the planet. Then he pulls the galaxy's most clever move, uses instant transmission to teleport directly next to Cell and fires the Kamehameha point blank into his face. The blast completely destroys Cell's upper body. We're talking head gone, arms gone, everything above the chest cavity erased from existence. Cell manages to scream, "No!" before getting his face deleted from the timeline. The dust clears. Goku stands there, exhausted, staring at Cell's destroyed corpse. And the episode ends with Goku, unable to figure out if it was enough to put the android down for good. Brother just vaporized someone's entire head, and he's uncertain about the results. That's like burning down a house and wondering if you remembered to turn off the stove. The Cell games represent the peak of Dragon Ball Z's stakes at that point in the series. Cell has absorbed both Android 17 and Android 18, achieved his perfect form, and announced a tournament where he'll destroy Earth if nobody can beat him. The Z fighters train in the hyperbolic time chamber, Vegeta gets bodied by Cell immediately, and Goku steps up as humanity's last real hope. Gohan's potential is still locked behind teenage angst at this point. The fight between Goku and Cell spans multiple episodes of them, trading blows at speeds most observers can't even follow. Gohan watches and realizes his dad is barely keeping pace with Cell. The stakes couldn't be higher. Lose this fight and the planet becomes a wasteland. Cell destroys the tournament ring midway through the battle because he's tired of being confined to it, and also because Goku nearly got knocked out of bounds, which would have been embarrassing for both of them. Now, the entire surrounding landscape becomes their battlefield. They're equals in speed and power, landing blow after blow on each other across mountains and valleys. The fight reaches its breaking point when Goku realizes he needs to end this definitively. After exchanging energy blasts, Goku flies straight up into the sky and begins charging a Kamehameha with a massive amount of his remaining energy. Everyone watching loses their minds. Krillin and the other Z fighters are screaming because firing that attack downward at Cell means vaporizing the entire planet and everyone on it. Goku's charging what amounts to a tactical nuke pointed at Earth's surface. Then Goku pulls his signature move. At the last possible second, he uses instant transmission, the technique he learned from the Yardrats that lets him teleport anywhere instantly. He vanishes from above Cell and reappears directly beside him, releases the fully charged Kamehameha at point-blank range, and catches Cell completely off guard. The attack hits with devastating force. Cell's head disintegrates. His arms vaporize. Everything above his upper torso gets erased in a massive explosion of energy. When the dust settles, all that remains is Cell's lower body from roughly the chest down. Goku stands there, exhausted from the attack, looking at what's left of his opponent. Here's where it gets weird. The episode explicitly states Goku is unable to figure out if it was enough to put the android down for good. The man just deleted another person's brain, and he's unsure if that constitutes a successful kill. Cell's head is gone. His thinking organ has been removed from existence. By any reasonable metric, that should be game over. Goku stands there uncertain, which means on some level he either knows about Cell's regeneration abilities and chose to leave the lower body intact anyway, or he genuinely thinks vaporizing someone's head might still leave them alive. Either explanation is wild. The first suggests Goku deliberately left Cell alive. The second suggests Goku has fundamentally misunderstood how mortality works. This pattern echoes through the entire Dragon Ball franchise like a curse Goku can't shake. During the Saiyan Saga, Goku defeats Vegeta in their brutal fight, has him completely beaten and broken on the ground, and then lets Krillin spare his life. Vegeta crawls into his space pod and escapes. Goku's reasoning involves wanting to fight him again someday when he's stronger, classic Saiyan priority. On Namek, Goku defeats Frieza after going Super Saiyan for the first time, and Frieza's lying there cut in half and dying. Goku gives Frieza some of his own energy so Frieza can survive long enough to escape. Frieza immediately uses that energy to attack Goku again. Frieza eventually survives and comes back as Mecha Frieza until Future Trunks actually finishes the job properly by cutting him into dozens of pieces and vaporizing all of them. Apparently Future Trunks understood the assignment. The instant Kamehameha against Cell represents Goku's most decisive victory attempt, and even then he leaves the job incomplete. He destroys the head and upper body, the parts that seem important, and stops there. He could have aimed lower. He could have vaporized Cell's entire body, including whatever core or regeneration organ Cell uses. He could have fired multiple Kamehamehas to make absolutely certain. He could have used instant transmission again to verify Cell was actually dead before relaxing. Goku does none of these things. He fires once, destroys the visible threat, and assumes that's sufficient. Cell regenerates. Turns out Cell has Piccolo cells, which means he inherited Namekian regeneration abilities. As long as the core in Cell's head survives, he can regenerate his entire body. Except Cell's head got vaporized, so Cell pulls an even more absurd loophole. He regenerates from a single cell cluster in his lower body that Goku left intact. Cell comes back stronger than before, thanks to his Saiyan genetics, giving him a Zenkai boost from nearly dying. Goku's incomplete kill directly causes Cell's power up. The pattern continues into the Buu saga. Goku reaches Super Saiyan 3, has the power to destroy Fat Buu completely, and chooses to leave it to Goten and Trunks instead because he wants the next generation to handle things. Terrible plan. Kids are terrible at finishing jobs. Majin Buu goes through multiple forms and causes catastrophic damage that could have been prevented if Goku had just ended it when he had the chance. Even in Dragon Ball Super, during the Tournament of Power, Goku defeats Jiren and immediately tries to help him up and show him respect. Goku's instinct after winning is to extend friendship to the guy who tried to erase his universe. Episode 179 shows this psychological block at its peak. Goku fires the most devastating attack in his arsenal at point-blank range, achieves what looks like a complete kill, and still manages to leave enough of Cell intact for him to regenerate. The uncertainty Goku feels standing over Cell's destroyed body reveals the truth. Some part of Goku either knows he didn't finish the job, or genuinely cannot process what finishing the job means. He can fight, he can dominate, he can win battles. Completely erasing an opponent from existence appears to be beyond him, whether by psychological limitation or Saiyan biology, overriding his survival instinct with the desire for stronger future opponents. Let's move straight into the next theory. The Ginyu Force were performance artists trapped in a mercenary career. The Ginyu Force arrives on Namek in the middle of a galactic crisis, steps out of their space pods, and immediately launches into a choreographed 5-person routine complete with individual poses, synchronized movements, and a team finale. Frieza, their employer and the universe's most feared tyrant, watches this performance with visible embarrassment. These are supposedly his elite soldiers, his trump card against Vegeta and the Earthlings, and they're doing interpretive dance in the middle of a battlefield. The Ginyu Force cares deeply about their poses, their team synchronization, and their theatrical presentation. Fighting seems to be something they do between rehearsals. Frieza controls a massive galactic empire through fear, conquest, and overwhelming power. His army consists of countless soldiers who serve him either through fear or mind control, with generals like Zarbon and Dodoria acting as his primary enforcers. The Ginyu Force occupies a unique position within this structure. They're freelancers, meaning they chose this job voluntarily and could theoretically leave whenever they want. They're the only soldiers in Frieza's entire force who aren't threatened or disrespected by him, which makes sense when you realize they're probably the only ones who negotiated a contract with an entertainment clause in it. Every other soldier in the Frieza Force gets ordered around. The Ginyu Force gets to do their poses first. The team's formation reveals their true priorities. Captain Ginyu recruited members based on specific criteria, starting with Bonyu, who was assigned reconnaissance duties. Bonyu was strong enough to be included in the Ginyu Force initially, had good combat abilities, and completed missions successfully. She got kicked out anyway. The reason for her removal had nothing to do with combat effectiveness. She was removed due to not being able to keep up with the posing and for lacking charisma. The Ginyu Force fired someone for having bad stage presence. That's like getting cut from a SWAT team because you couldn't nail the choreography for their recruitment video. Combat ability took a backseat to theatrical performance, which explains why Guldo, the weakest member physically, made the team while Bonyu, apparently stronger, got the boot. Their training backgrounds support this performance theory. Recoome didn't become agile through combat training or military drills. He practiced dance. His signature moves and battle poses come directly from his dance background. The guy's out here doing pirouettes between punches, treating combat like it's a Broadway audition. Berter became the fastest in the universe because his mother made him do household chores quickly. Apparently, maternal nagging creates superhuman speed. Joyce developed his signature crusher ball technique while playing baseball in the Galactic Little League. These aren't the origin stories of hardened mercenaries. These are the origin stories of people who stumbled into military careers while pursuing completely different passions. The Ginyu Force even has an official theme song, Take the Stage. Ginyu Special Squad features comical, silly lyrics referencing frogs, rock, paper, scissors, and afternoon snacks. Professional mercenary teams don't typically have comedy songs about their snack preferences. Performance troops do. The song gets sung in the order the members arrive on: Namek Rikume, Birder, Jace, Guldo, Captain Ginyu, suggesting they've rehearsed this specific entrance sequence multiple times. They've got blocking, they've got choreography, they've got a musical number. They just happen to also be really good at violence. Their combat methodology reveals the performance mindset. Before fighting, they play rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to go first. They bet candy on match outcomes. They have a code of honor and fairness that sets them apart from the rest of the Frieza Force. These are people who care about the theatrical presentation of combat, the fairness of the performance, the equity of stage time. When they encounter enemies on Namek, they debate who deserves the spotlight, play children's games to determine the lineup, and make sure everyone gets their moment to shine. Rikum wins rock, paper, scissors and acts like he just won a Tony Award for Best Featured Warrior in a Namekian battle. Frieza's relationship with them proves they're freelancers pursuing their art. He's embarrassed by their poses but tolerates them because they're effective. He never threatens them like he threatens other soldiers. He might even have never met them in person before Namek, suggesting their contract was negotiated remotely, probably through an agent who specialized in representing combat performance artists. When they arrive, Frieza watches their routine with the expression of someone who agreed to something in writing and now deeply regrets it. He wanted elite soldiers. He got an experimental theater company that happens to kill people between shows. The pattern continues even after death. When they escape hell in Dragon Ball GT, they pose first. When they appear as illusions in Dragon Ball Super's Forest of Terror, they pose. In Dragon Ball Fusions, they don't fight Goku's team to the death. They teach them fusion techniques and explain their 5-way fusion invention. They're literally out here conducting workshops on collaborative performance art in the middle of what should be combat scenarios. Even Android 21 creates clones of them in Fighter Z, and those clones pose too. Apparently the performance instinct is so strong it transfers to artificial copies. The Ginyu Force achieved their reputation as the universe's most feared fighting team while prioritizing choreography over combat strategy, stage presence over tactical efficiency, and team poses over military discipline. They're performance artists who accidentally became really good at mercenary work, trapped in a career that pays well but doesn't let them pursue their true passion for synchronized theatrical combat presentations. Frieza employs them because they're effective. They work for Frieza because the job apparently comes with enough creative freedom to do their poses, and in the entertainment industry, that's called a good gig. Now let's move on to the next theory, but before that, don't forget OT subscribe to our channel. Beerus is deliberately negligent and Universe 7's problems are his fault. Episode 25, A Full Throttle Battle. The vengeful Golden Frieza shows the god of destruction Beerus arriving on Earth during Frieza's invasion, an event that threatens to wipe out the planet and potentially destabilize the entire universe. Beerus' first action, upon arrival, asking Whis where his parfait is. The universe is actively burning, and Beerus wants dessert. When Bulma asks why he won't help stop Frieza, Beerus explains that a god of destruction doesn't take sides and will only protect them if delicious food is around. He then sits down, eats the parfait, and watches Goku get beaten into the ground while providing casual commentary like he's attending a sports match. This encapsulates Beerus' entire management philosophy for Universe 7. Food first, cosmic responsibility never. Universe 7 exists under the supervision of Beerus, whose job title is God of Destruction. The position comes with specific responsibilities: destroying planets that threaten universal balance, eliminating evil forces that grow too powerful, and maintaining a healthy mortal level throughout the universe. Gods of Destruction work in tandem with Supreme Kais who create life, forming a balanced system where creation and destruction maintain cosmic equilibrium. Beerus has held this position for millions of years, which should theoretically make him experienced and effective at managing his universe. Instead, Universe 7 ranks as one of the lowest quality universes in the entire multiverse, sitting just above Universe 9 in terms of mortal level before the Tournament of Power. Beerus' work ethic explains the ranking. He sleeps for decades at a time, sometimes up to 39 years in a single nap. During these extended sleep sessions, entire civilizations rise and fall, tyrants conquer solar systems, and threats to universal stability grow unchecked. Frieza represents the most obvious example of Beerus' negligence. For decades, Frieza ran a galactic empire that destroyed countless planets and enslaved entire populations. Frieza did this openly, publicly, with his name attached to a massive military organization. Beerus knew about Frieza. Beerus even used Frieza as a convenient outsourced destruction service, allowing the tyrant to destroy planets so Beerus wouldn't have to do the work himself. When Frieza finally got killed by Goku on Namek, Beerus' response was basically, "Neat, save me a trip." The episode demonstrates this negligence in real time. Frieza returns with his golden form, attacks Earth, and begins systematically overpowering Goku. Earth houses some of Universe 7's strongest warriors, serves as a hub for the Dragon Balls, which Beerus loves using for food wishes, and contains Bulma, who makes the parfaits Beerus enjoys. The planet has strategic value. Frieza threatens to destroy all of it. Beerus shows up, demands parfait, and explicitly states he won't help because gods of destruction don't take sides. He then threatens to destroy Earth himself if the parfait tastes bad. The man is holding Earth hostage over dessert quality while simultaneously watching an actual threat try to destroy it. That's like a firefighter showing up to a burning building and demanding a sandwich before deciding whether to help. His interaction with Champa earlier in the episode reveals another layer of his negligence. Champa, the god of destruction of Universe 6, appears in Universe 7. This is apparently unusual enough that Beerus immediately suspects Champa of stealing his food. Champa claims he's just visiting, they almost fight, and then Champa leaves while secretly collecting something later revealed to be Super Dragon Balls. Beerus senses Champa is being suspicious, but does nothing to investigate. His fellow god of destruction is clearly up to something in his universe, and Beerus' response is, probably fine, before going back to worrying about parfait. This is a man who has abdicated responsibility so thoroughly that he can't even maintain proper oversight of his own cosmic jurisdiction. The Tournament of Power exposes the consequences of Beerus' management style. The Grand Xenos decide to erase universes with low mortal levels because they're poorly managed and represent a drain on the multiverse. Universe 7 ranks second to last, just barely above Universe 9. When this gets revealed, even Whis Beerus' attendant and the most diplomatic being in existence calls it shameful. Universe 7's ranking reflects directly on Beerus' job performance, and his job performance amounts to sleeping, eating, and occasionally destroying planets based on whether their food meets his standards. He destroyed planet Monaka because the food was too greasy. He threatened to destroy Earth over pudding. His destruction criteria have nothing to do with universal balance, and everything to do with his personal dining preferences. Goku continues struggling against Golden Frieza while Beerus eats. Frieza lands combination attacks, overpowers Goku's defenses, and eventually has him in pain on the ground. Beerus watches this happen. He comments on Frieza's power increase, notes that Goku is having a hard time, and continues eating. The god of destruction is spectating while his universe's primary defender gets destroyed by a tyrant who already had a body count in the billions before his first death. Beerus doesn't care. His parfait is good. That's sufficient for him. Episode 25 captures Beerus' entire management philosophy in 20 minutes. He arrives late, demands food, threatens everyone, refuses to help despite having overwhelming power, and treats a universe-ending crisis as entertainment while he eats dessert. Universe 7's constant state of near destruction, its bottom-tier ranking in the multiverse, and its repeated brushes with complete annihilation all trace back to one source. A god of destruction who retired on the job millions of years ago and now just shows up for the snacks. Frieza's invasion nearly succeeds because Beerus cares more about parfait than planets, and that priority system has defined Universe 7's trajectory for millennia. Alright, time to move on to the next theory. Frieza never learns from his mistakes and is trapped in a loop of failure. Episode 120, Another Super Saiyan, shows Frieza arriving on Earth in his mechanical form, rebuilt after his catastrophic defeat on Namek, where Goku cut him in half and left him to die on an exploding planet. Frieza spent months in recovery, got outfitted with cybernetic enhancements, traveled across the galaxy to Earth, seeking revenge, and immediately starts making the exact same tactical errors that got him killed the first time. When confronted by future Trunks, Frieza attacks him 4 separate times, using increasingly powerful versions of attacks that already failed on Namek. Then he gets sliced vertically in half by Trunks' sword, dying the same way he nearly died on Namek when his own energy disk cut him horizontally. Frieza learned nothing from his defeat, changed nothing about his approach, and got destroyed using the identical method that almost killed him previously. The Tyrant's return to Earth represents his first opportunity to demonstrate growth after suffering his most humiliating defeat. Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan on Namek and systematically dismantled everything Frieza believed about his superiority. Frieza got beaten, sliced in half by his own attack, and left for dead on a planet he destroyed. His father, King Cold, found him floating in space, rebuilt him with mechanical parts, and gave him a second chance at conquest. Frieza arrives on Earth with his army, King Cold by his side, and a power level enhanced by his cybernetic upgrades. The smart play would involve analyzing what went wrong on Namek, developing new techniques, or at minimum, avoiding the specific tactics that failed catastrophically. Future Trunks confronts Frieza and his soldiers immediately upon their arrival. The soldiers attack first, charging at the mysterious youth with weapons and energy blasts. Trunks slices through them effortlessly with his sword. One soldier survives and backs away in fear. Frieza responds by impaling his own soldier with his hand, killing him for showing cowardice or for being in the way, depending on the version. Frieza just murdered his own subordinate for retreating from an opponent, which is exactly the kind of leadership that led to his downfall on Namek when his remaining forces couldn't effectively support him. Frieza watched his entire army get systematically eliminated by Goku and the other fighters, and his response to soldiers showing fear is to kill them personally. Trunks announces he knows Goku and claims to be a Super Saiyan himself. Frieza initially laughs this off, refusing to believe another Super Saiyan exists. The trauma from Namek is right there on his face when Trunks starts powering up. Frieza watches with fear and denial as Trunks transforms, his golden hair and power surge triggering flashbacks to Goku's transformation. Frieza trembles. The memory of his defeat is fresh enough to terrify him, yet apparently not fresh enough to change his combat approach. He proceeds to attack Trunks using the same playbook that failed on Namek. First attempt, Frieza fires an energy blast. Trunks counters it without effort. Second attempt, another energy blast. Same result. Third attempt, Frieza tries getting physical. Trunks handles him easily. Fourth attempt, Frieza charges up a supernova, an attack with 10 times the power of the Death Ball he used to destroy Namek. This is Frieza's signature move, the planet-destroying technique he's used successfully for decades across the galaxy. Trunks catches the supernova with one hand, like he's fielding a baseball. Frieza detonates it, assuming the explosion will finish Trunks. The smoke clears. Trunks is completely unharmed. The pattern reveals itself clearly here. Frieza encountered a Super Saiyan on Namek and learned that his standard attacks don't work against them. His response to encountering another Super Saiyan is to use those exact same attacks, just with more power behind them. He's applying the hit it harder strategy without considering that maybe the problem is not the power level behind his techniques, the problem is the techniques themselves. Goku tanked Frieza's attacks on Namek. Trunks tanks them on Earth. Frieza has experienced this exact scenario before and somehow expects different results. Trunks fires a burning attack at Frieza, forcing him to dodge. Frieza takes to the air to gain positioning advantage. This is where Frieza makes his final tactical error. He's above Trunks, exposed, and somehow doesn't consider that the opponent who just caught his strongest attack might be fast enough to close the distance. Trunks appears directly above Frieza with his sword drawn. Frieza realizes too late what's about to happen. Trunks slices him vertically in half with one clean strike. Frieza dies while King Cold watches in shock. The method of death mirrors Namek perfectly. On Namek, Frieza threw an energy disc at Goku. Goku dodged it, and the disc came back around and sliced Frieza horizontally in half. Frieza nearly died from being cut in two by a blade technique. His response to this traumatic near-death experience is to put himself in a position where he gets cut in two again, just from a different angle. He learned that blades can cut through his body and still positioned himself to be vulnerable to a blade attack. That's like getting burned by fire and then immediately sticking your hand in a different fire to see if this one is safer. The pattern echoes throughout Frieza's entire existence in the Dragon Ball franchise. In Dragon Ball Super's Resurrection F arc, Frieza trains for 4 months to achieve his golden form, and returns to Earth for revenge again. He successfully pushes Goku to his limits using his new transformation. Then his stamina runs out because he didn't train long enough to maintain the form, the exact same weakness that plagued him on Namek when he couldn't maintain his full power for extended periods. Frieza had literal months to prepare, knew his stamina was his weakness from the Namek experience, and still didn't address it properly. He lost again because he repeated the same strategic error. During the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super, Frieza gets recruited to Universe 7's team despite everyone knowing his history of betrayal and backstabbing. Frieza cooperates throughout most of the tournament because survival requires teamwork. The moment he sees an opportunity to betray his teammates and eliminate them, he takes it. Everyone saw this coming because Frieza has never demonstrated the ability to work with others without eventually turning on them. His betrayal attempt fails, and he ends up having to genuinely cooperate to survive. Frieza cannot break his own patterns, even when those patterns consistently lead to failure. The Dragon Ball Super Broly movie shows Frieza still obsessed with revenge against Saiyans and Goku specifically, despite having lost every single direct confrontation with them. His entire character arc spans decades of in-universe time and multiple resurrections, and he remains locked into the same goals, same tactics, and same failures. He gets stronger through training and transformations, his power level increases dramatically, yet his strategic thinking stays frozen in the moment before Goku went Super Saiyan on Namek. Episode 120 captures this perfectly. Frieza returns with mechanical enhancements, royal backup from his father, and an entire army. He attacks a Super Saiyan using the same techniques that failed against the previous Super Saiyan he fought. He gets cut in half using the same method that nearly killed him before. Frieza is the universe's most powerful being who keeps running the identical playbook, getting the identical results, and expecting something to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different outcomes. By that metric, Frieza is cosmically insane, trapped in a loop where every resurrection, every power-up, and every return leads to the same defeat because he fundamentally cannot adapt his approach to account for his previous failures. Now we're heading into the next theory. Goku is addicted to near-death experiences and constantly endangers everyone. Episode 72, Will He Strike Back? The Unseen Killing Technique, reveals that Goku hired Hit, the universe's most dangerous assassin, to kill him. He paid actual money to have a professional murderer hunt him down and end his life. When his family shows up worried about the assassination attempt, Goku lies directly to Chi-Chi's face about who hired Hit, then quietly asks Vegeta to keep his secret. The episode ends with Goku smiling and saying he wants to fight Hit again soon. The man hired his own hitman, got murdered, revived himself, and immediately started planning the sequel. That's like scheduling your own kidnapping and rating the experience 5 stars on Yelp. Goku exists as Earth's primary defender and Universe 7's strongest mortal warrior. He's defeated galactic tyrants, saved the planet multiple times, and represents humanity's best chance against existential threats. People rely on Goku to protect them from dangers they cannot handle themselves. His family expects him to prioritize their safety. The universe assumes Goku will act responsibly with his overwhelming power. These expectations assume Goku values survival and security. The reality proves drastically different. Goku values fighting above everything else, including his own life, his family's safety, and the continued existence of his universe. The episode builds toward the revelation through a series of increasingly suspicious behaviors. Goku gets killed by Hit in the previous episode, then revives himself by hitting his own heart with a ki blast. Casual resurrection, no big deal apparently. He immediately challenges Hit to continue fighting despite just dying. Gohan, Goten, and Piccolo watch in confusion as Goku pursues his own assassin for a rematch. Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue and flies off with Hit to an isolated location. The two battle throughout forests and near Ocean Abyss. Beerus, Whis, and Vegeta show up to observe. Champa and Vados watch from a distance. Everyone treats this like a spectator sport while Goku fights for his life against someone explicitly hired to murder him. Hit demonstrates his improved techniques throughout the battle. His time-release attacks pass through trees. His invisible energy blasts force Goku to constantly dodge. Hit explains he skips time and creates a parallel dimension where he can move freely while remaining untouchable. Goku struggles to land hits, passes through Hit's body repeatedly, and takes significant damage. Vados explains to Champa that Hit's time skip ability creates a separate space, a parallel world where Hit exists simultaneously in 2 places. The fight pushes both warriors to their limits. Goku eventually cracks Hit's parallel dimension through sheer power, destroying it with a Kamehameha. Both fighters collapse exhausted as the sun rises. Chi-Chi arrives with Piccolo, Goten, and Gohan after the battle concludes. She demands to know who hired Hit to assassinate her husband. Goku lies. He pretends he has no idea who hired the assassin. Chi-Chi assumes it was Frost. Goku lets her believe this false assumption. Vegeta watches this deception unfold, having already deduced the truth through observation. Vegeta's actually pretty sharp when he's paying attention, which makes his constant jobbing and fights even more tragic. Vegeta realized Goku hired Hit himself, specifically to fight him at full power. Goku confirms this when pressed. He admits he hired the assassin, paid him money, and arranged his own murder so he could experience combat against Hit without restrictions. The reasoning behind Goku's actions reveals his priorities clearly. Goku explains that if Hit knew Goku hired him, Hit would not fight at full power. Goku needed Hit to genuinely try to kill him. Only a real assassination attempt would push Hit to demonstrate his complete skill set. Goku valued this combat experience above his own survival. He risked leaving his family without a protector, removing Universe 7's strongest defender, and potentially dying permanently. The self-revival was apparently improvised, which means Goku hired an assassin without a solid backup plan for staying alive. All of this to satisfy his desire for a challenging fight. That's like canceling your life insurance, setting your house on fire, and calling it stress testing your escape route. The pattern extends throughout Goku's entire history. During the Cell games, Goku gave Cell a Senzu Bean before Gohan fought him, restoring Cell to full strength and endangering his own child for the sake of a fair fight. When Vegeta invaded Earth during the Saiyan Saga, Goku convinced Krillin to spare Vegeta's life specifically so Goku could fight him again when Vegeta got stronger. On Namek, Goku gave Frieza his own energy so Frieza could escape the exploding planet, and Frieza immediately used that energy to attack Goku. During the Tournament of Power, Goku recruited Frieza to Universe 7's team, knowing Frieza would attempt betrayal, which he did. Goku consistently spares enemies, heals opponents, and creates opportunities for villains to return stronger, because fighting strong opponents matters more to him than eliminating threats. Episode 72 crystallizes this behavioral pattern perfectly. Goku hired a professional assassin, got killed, lied to his family about the circumstances, and expressed eagerness to repeat the experience. The episode's trivia section notes that Goku has been the indirect cause of all his own deaths, sacrificing himself to defeat Raditz, sacrificing himself to stop Cell's self-destruction, and hiring Hit to assassinate him. Goku's addiction to combat drives him to manufacture life-threatening scenarios even when actual threats prove insufficient. He escalates danger artificially to maintain his high. The consequences ripple outward constantly. Universe 7 ranks second to last in mortal level, partially because Goku keeps sparing universe-threatening villains who go on to cause more destruction. His family lives in constant danger because Goku prioritizes training and fighting over their security. The universe nearly got erased during the Tournament of Power, an event that occurred because Goku suggested the tournament to Zeno, essentially risking 8 universes for the chance to fight strong opponents. Goku's addiction endangers everyone around him repeatedly, and his response involves hiring more assassins and seeking stronger enemies. The man's a danger junkie with god-level power and zero impulse control. Let's jump right into the next theory. Vegeta's ego constantly sabotages strategic advantage. Episode 210, the World Tournament, shows the Z-Fighters arriving at the World Martial Arts Tournament and testing their strength on punching machines during the preliminary rounds. Every single fighter understands the assignment. Hold back your true power. Blend in with the normal contestants. Avoid revealing that you're light years beyond human capability. Goku holds back. Gohan holds back. Krillin, Piccolo, and Android 18 all hold back. They punch the machine with enough force to qualify without causing a scene. Then Vegeta steps up to the punching machine and completely obliterates it, reducing the testing equipment to scattered debris while terrifying every other contestant in the building. The judges cannot comprehend what they just witnessed. Other fighters are scared out of their wits. Vegeta walks away from the destroyed machine, having successfully announced to everyone present that their group contains someone who can demolish solid metal with a casual punch. Strategic stealth lasted exactly until Vegeta's turn. The World Martial Arts Tournament represents a rare moment of peace for Universe 7. Cell has been defeated, the androids are no longer threats, and the Z-Fighters decide to enter a martial arts competition for fun and prize money. Goku returns from the afterlife for one day specifically to participate. The tournament includes both a junior division for younger fighters and an adult division. Goten and Trunks compete in the junior division, while the adult fighters handle the preliminary rounds. These preliminaries require contestants to demonstrate basic capability through simple strength tests. The punching machine measures impact force and determines who qualifies for the actual tournament brackets. The smart approach involves looking strong enough to qualify while keeping your true power concealed from potential opponents. Everyone grasps this concept except Vegeta. The preliminary rounds don't require obliterating equipment. Qualifying requires hitting the machine hard enough to register a decent score. Goku punches it and gets a solid number. The machine survives. Gohan does the same. The machine remains functional. Krillin, despite being significantly weaker than the Saiyans, still holds back appropriately. Piccolo punches it with restraint. Android 18, who could probably put her fists through the machine's circuitry, exercises appropriate self-control. The pattern holds perfectly until Vegeta's turn. He steps up, throws a punch, and the machine explodes into components. Metal fragments scatter across the floor. The testing equipment has ceased to exist as a functional device. The immediate consequences play out visibly. Other tournament contestants back away in fear. These are normal martial artists who entered a fighting tournament expecting to face other normal martial artists. They just watched someone destroy solid testing equipment that was designed to measure superhuman strength. The judges stand frozen, unable to process what happened. Their measurement system has been literally destroyed. Vegeta achieved nothing strategic from this demonstration. He already qualified, you just needed to hit the machine. Destroying it provided zero additional benefit. All Vegeta accomplished was revealing to every potential opponent that their group contains someone operating on a completely different power scale. That's like showing up to a poker game and immediately revealing you're counting cards. You've eliminated any element of surprise you might have leveraged later. Later in the episode, the tournament shows a video reenactment of the Cell games. The video uses cheap costumes and actors portraying the Z Fighters in an extremely goofy manner. The reenactment changes numerous details, includes terrible special effects, and makes the participants look ridiculous. Vegeta and Piccolo watch this video and become visibly upset about how silly they appear on screen. The episode explicitly notes they're bothered by their goofy portrayal. The Cell games involve the fate of Earth, near universal extinction, and multiple deaths. The important part of that event should be, we saved the planet from a bio-android who wanted to destroy all life. Vegeta focuses on, they made me look stupid on TV. His ego cares more about image than substance. This pattern defines Vegeta's entire character arc across Dragon Ball Z and Super. During the Cell saga, Vegeta allowed Cell to absorb Android 18 specifically so Cell could reach perfect form. Vegeta wanted to fight Cell at maximum power to prove his superiority. This decision directly endangered the entire planet and created the threat that required Gohan's intervention. Vegeta valued proving he could beat the strongest version of Cell over the sensible strategy of preventing Cell from reaching that form. During the Majin Buu saga, Vegeta allows Babidi to transform him into Majin Vegeta, selling his soul to evil influence specifically to gain enough power to surpass Goku. He prioritizes settling their rivalry over helping stop Majin Buu. His actions help revive Buu, endangering everyone. Episode 210 captures this behavioral pattern in miniature. The punching machine scene requires minimal effort, OT, hold back slightly, qualify for the tournament, maintain strategic advantage. Vegeta's ego refuses to allow restraint. He needs to demonstrate superiority, even when doing so provides zero tactical benefit and actively harms their position by revealing power levels prematurely. Every other fighter understood the assignment. Vegeta understood the assignment and chose to ignore it because maintaining his image as the strongest warrior present mattered more than sensible strategy. The man regularly sacrifices tactical advantage, planetary safety, and mission success to feed his ego, and episode 210 shows this pattern in its most mundane form. He cannot even participate in preliminary strength testing without his pride forcing him to show off and compromise everyone's position. If you enjoyed our video today, subscribe to our channel.